Oh, yeah, we're live.
Oh, what's up, everybody? Hello. Welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 345. Tonight, I'm joined with Jared Schneiderman.
What up?
James Babb.
Hello.
And Nikki P., Mr. Nicholas Picone himself.
How's it going, guys?
Nikki P just did a nitro shot.
I know, right?
Sounds delicious.
He's hitting some whippets or something.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, that's what you get from the strip clubs, right? And like the porn shops.
Wouldn't know.
One of my old bandmates, he worked at a porn shop for a while. And he's like, "Yeah, man, it was great. I just stood around and did whippets all fucking night." He's like, "I'd go through a case of them a night."
That's awesome.
Jesus Christ.
Got the womp-womps all night long.
He's like, I sell dildos to strippers and do whippets. That's what I do.
That's so cool.
It's a lot.
Somebody has to do that.
It's true.
Well,
Thank you.
It wasn't the worst sounding life.
All right. So what do you guys drink anything? There you go. That's right. That's right.
That's right.
Are you guys drinking anything good?
Just
Baz,
a
you got
Dogfish
anything?
Head, 60-minute.
I'm waiting on a pair of sneakers I ordered so that I can drink the human blood out of them.
Oh, there
nice,
we go. That
So
sounds
I'm
awesome.
Kind of, in limbo here until they get here.
Hell yeah.
I don't even know what I'm drinking. I just saw it has a Washington Nationals logo on it. This is the Homestead Grays, but like on the back, it's supposed to go to like the Washington Nationals organization. I don't know, something they're philanthropic. I don't know. I'm trying to read it on the back. I don't know. It's 8%. That's why. That's the main thing. It was 8%. It's a IPA. I don't know. I don't even know what the hell it's called.
So
I've never even heard of this brewery before. Apparently, it's in DC. It's called like Blue Jacket. Never heard of it. I just saw it.
I hope you didn't have to go into the city to get it.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did not. Fortunately, they had it in locals up here in Baltimore. They had it, and so I just picked it up and it's really good. It's actually really good.
So is your love of that team like a form of self-flagellation or something? I've never quite understood it.
I'm a DC sports ball fan. Like I just grew up watching, Redskins, Capitals, and then when baseball came back to town, my dad was a Senators fan, so he got season tickets because they were like dirt cheap back in 2005 when they were like terrible. And so we just started. I stuck it out to the team through all the bad years, and then finally they made it to the World Series after putting in some time. But we've been priced out of it. Like I think last year we were priced out. It was like the first because we used to go to opening day every single year, and then with COVID hit, so no one was able to go. But before that, it was just like, yeah, it's gonna be like $900 for opening day tickets. I was like, oh, fuck that.
Even like nosebleeds?
Yeah, like it was ridiculous because they were only opening up a certain portion to the fans, and like it all sold out. And we used to sit like right on third baseline, like right on front of third baseline for like $50-$60. I went back in like 2011 before they got good, and then eventually each year it just kept going up and up, and we kept moving farther and farther away.
That's a good thing about being an O's fan is the tickets are always cheap because they always suck.
Not this year. They start off pretty good, man.
Yeah,
they're 3-0 right now. I don't.
They've started off good a few times.
Okay. So this is how big a sports fan I am, just for the record.
Yeah.
It was probably within the last year I realized that the Washington they were referring to was that Washington. I kind of just always assumed that Washington meant Washington State.
Like even the Redskins?
For the Redskins in particular. I don't know what baseball is to know who the Nationals are. But I always thought that the Washington Redskins were from Washington State. It was news to me to find out they weren't. Wow. I only ever cared about the Cowboys,
Ugh. What are you doing? What are you doing, Nick?
It was all about prison records. They had the best.
They had people doing coke in the locker room and stabbing people and shit. Yeah, back in the 90s.
It was the best years to be a Cowboys fan, and then I never grew up past that.
Oh, all right. Well,
I also grew up in Bills country, so it pissed off my parents those 2 years.
Oh, that's right. You did. I was gonna say, wait a minute, you're in Cleveland. I forgot.
Yeah, no, I grew up in upstate New York, up near Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, and here's a fun fact: they beat them. The Washington Redskins beat them in the Super Bowl, and they went on to lose 4 straight Super Bowls. So that's fun.
That's amazing.
There you go. I'm teach you guys a sports ball.
Sure,
it's good. But yeah, the Nationals are not playing because 4 people contracted test positive for COVID, so they had to literally quarantine like 14 people in the organization because of COVID. Like, it's like, dude, this is not 2020. And so they have a mandatory 7 days off. They have to be quarantined. And then DC can implement a 14-day quarantine.
Phil, you're spoiled. You're in America. Dude, you hear anything that's going on above the border in Canada right now?
Dude, it's insane.
It's terrifying.
Thanks, Dad. My dad just commented.
His dad just ripped on him. Phil, it was a good time to be a Cowboys fan.
Finally, somebody's watching the show.
I know.
Yeah, it's only our parents that watch the show.
I know, right? It's like playing a band and like your dad's out on the crowd, like, you know, like thanks, Dad.
So back
he was just hanging out with me. I told they left because I was doing the podcast.
So you speak about dads in the crowd. So when it was my senior year of high school, I was playing a local bar gig with my band, and so my dad and the guitar player's dad both happened to be there that night. And for some reason, some dude gets really drunk and tries to like dance with some other dude's girlfriend. So before we know it, our dads are in the middle of a big bar fight, tossing dudes, trying to regulate. And all of this seemed very odd during Santeria. So it was just kind of. We're in stage playing Santeria, and this giant bar fight breaks out. And
I think I heard this story before. I think I did. I think I've heard this. You tell us on a podcast.
It was weird.
That's hilarious.
So, dad's in the crowd story. That's all that was. It's my one right on there.
But yeah, it sucks, man. But like, I just can't believe with everything that's going on. I always that's what I've been telling people lately is I just look at Canada and I'm like, well, that's us in a few years. Like that's us. Everything they do, every bullshit, there will be human rights tribunals up there soon enough. Down, they have them up there.
They already have them.
Like it's coming. Like, it'll just be more formalized, and we'll be begging for them. That's just the way everything's going right now in Canada. It's just, dude, it's awful. I forget what team it is, but like even what I think the Blue Jays have to play in Tampa or something like that this year because Canada won't let them travel across the border. Or no, what team is it? Or it might be the Toronto Raptors. I forget. It's just so
Maple Leafs
stupid.
Or something.
So brave.
No, all the Canada teams in hockey have to play each other only. They're not allowed to play any United States team right now. So they're just playing each other. It's ridiculous. This whole fucking COVID, like, it's just everything's so like archaic. Even to like last year, like 2 weeks, like this is something that we freaked out about, back in February, early March. And now like DC saying 2 weeks for a player if they test positive.
How about we start doing some unsanctioned hockey matches where we invite the Canadians down to play against some US guys here, completely out of the NHL, just for spectator sport, just to say screw you to anybody who wants to impose these kind of limits on genuine hockey.
It would have to be outside of season because you can't leave Canada without doing a mandatory 2-week quarantine when you get back.
No, we could smuggle them across the border in canoes. I swear to God, we could do this.
It's a lot harder.
Just put them on the backs of fucking brown bears and just.
It's not that hard. I don't think it's that hard. Like the United States hasn't started like defending against Canadians yet.
So. I joked before we got on here that like for whatever reason I just get really conspiratorial when I'm on this show, and kind of along that vein.
We concluded that you're just trying to discredit us because you're a CIA asset, right?
Hopefully,
no, you're the CIA. You're the Fed, Jared.
No, he's bringing his.
I'm
best,
FBI. He's CIA. Okay,
he's
Jesus
bringing
Christ.
his best.
But
that's what we need you for, Nick.
But one of the things I don't know if I've ever articulated is that something that you learned really quickly in COVID is the delineator between old and new money. Because once you go and look at all these sports teams, they're all really, really wealthy people, but it's not generational wealth. Most of them are by super rich people that made their money themselves. And look at what they've all taken in the past year. Look at how screwed some of those businesses are. Like some of those
new money or the old money.
Well, that's my point. Clearly, they could throw the sports industry under the bus. Like, I do not think that sports will ever recover from what's been done to it.
Yeah, because
Like,
they're not the right people that we wanted.
They're
to
not
be
the
rich
right
anyway.
rich people.
Yeah, we didn't want them to be. We never intended for them to be rich in the first place.
And I thought it was just such a good delineation of like who the real rich people are and who like the pretenders are, and they got to call it out right in the front. Because what were the first things the first industries they shut right down? Spectator sports. They're the first thing, and that, like, because it was the minute that I heard they canceled
the music industry, live music industry, right?
Yep.
So
those are all new millionaires, all new money. We ain't got room for you and what we have planned for kids.
It could be. I remember like Rudy Gobert. He forget which team. I think he would play for like the Pelicans. I forgot what team did he play. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. He was an NBA player, and he went up to do his post game interview. It was right. This was like March 10th or something like last year, and he went up to do his post game interview, and he went and like rubbed his hands on all the mics, like he rubbed it, like just fucking with people, and then he literally after he tested positive for COVID after doing that, like the next day.
Did he die?
No,
never had anything wrong with him.
I know. So they shut down everything after Rudy Gobert. As soon as he tested positive, they shut down everything. All
think
sports.
Think about this: how much old money is in the film industry? It's a lot of new rich money. Most of those companies are going under. The film industry is not going to come back.
You know, the pedophile industry is really taking off.
And what's funny is that all those guys they're just kind of like creating their own obsolescence at this point, not even realizing they're doing it for the whims of whatever, the powers that may be or whatever. It's weird. Sorry, I interject. I just it was a thing I saw. I had to take it.
That's fine. You take it. You're here. You take it. Okay. That's why I have you on, man. That's why I
always wanted to say that is you take it.
Yeah. Just wait till we get to hang out in
followed
Pittsburgh.
My daddy, at least.
Just wait till I give you a big hug when I see you.
It's going to be a big hug because inevitably two big guys giving hugs is going to be a big hug.
There's going to be some slight tremors in the ground probably.
Oh, and there's going to be like some hip motion into it. I'm going to bring my hip in to hug you. Like it's going to
register on the Richter like a 0.05.
It's going to put the nuclear test ban treaty in danger.
I'm going to give you like one of those Biden hugs. I'm going to be sniffing you.
But you got you
mean like
but when you do it, you've really got to eyeball Maj. Just got to look at him like you're next.
Maj made fun of me.
His own look that he always does.
I never told you that. Maj he dunked on me at the convention because we were hanging. There's a picture of it on my Facebook. Me and him are hanging out with just a few other guys, and we're talking. He made fun of me because I was wearing like I have these cut off jeans that like I cut up like high up above the knee. And he made fun. He was like, "Oh, you're from Baltimore. You're wearing cutoff jeans or something like that." Like a white guy he made some type of comment. I was like, everyone started laughing. I'm like, "Damn, Maj just dunked on me in front of everybody." But I still
probably didn't like your Crocs either. Yeah,
no Crocs.
He probably didn't like your KKK hood either, dude.
I was looking fresh. All right, I had my Elton John shirt on. Okay, thank you.
Got
my checkerboard
getting a beer.
Dude, you're getting a beer? My guitar player in my one band has us doing we're recording an Elton John cover right now for our current EP.
What song?
He's doing This Train Don't Stop Here Anymore, which is like so not my favorite Elton John song.
What's your favorite Elton John song?
Mine, Dirty Little Girl.
Really?
Dude, because it's like before he was out, and it is the cattiest, gayest song ever, and I love it for that. If you go back and look at those lyrics, like talking about getting this bitch and scrubbing her back and getting behind the ears and shit, like the dirty bitch. Like it's so fucking funny.
I don't know. I think mine's probably more like mainstream, but mine's like All the Young Girls Love Alice.
That's a good one too.
That's like
there's not a single bad song on Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, my wife's what's the album? What's my wife's favorite? It's got Amarina is on it. Fuck, what album is that?
I think Honky Cat's probably my second favorite off of Honky Chateau.
Dude, I love the fact that we just went from sports ball to our favorite Elton John songs. We haven't even really started the show. I love it.
I know. Well, you started talking about men hugging, and then it goes to Elton John.
Yeah, it's just
it's just.
And somehow Maj Trey got brought up. It's all good. I love this.
I think isn't Mises Caucus gay for Maj? I mean, they just
they're horrible,
popular, isn't he?
They're horrible misogynists, right?
Yeah, I know. We hate gay
they're
people.
white supremacists, but also gay for Maj Trey. I don't know how it adds up, but it does. Okay,
It
Is it
just
even-
you
does.
do the math
even-
yourself.
Like,
Well,
you're
no.
probably not even supposed to say that somebody's like gay for somebody.
Well,
Like,
no,
that's-
Jared,
Right, I know.
if you've ever seen the actual like people in charge of the Mises Caucus, I don't imagine it's changed much. But when I was around, there wasn't a single person in there that wasn't either had some ethnic heritage
Yeah.
or was married to somebody that was not of the white race. It always
Does
Well,
that
all
amused me.
include
libertarians are married
all
to
the
Asians, right?
dudes with mail order brides?
Oh no, none of those guys are cool enough even for that. I guess
I
they'd be
know.
they'd be cool enough that you'd expect it, but not wealthy enough that you'd imagine it possible. Let's be honest, not a lot of libertarian millionaires.
Yeah.
Principles get in the way of that stuff, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm this close. I'm like a few hundreds of thousands of dollars away from being a millionaire. So maybe like $9,000 to $100,000 away from being a millionaire. I'm like this close. I
But
feel
that's
it.
all because of your morals.
It is.
Like,
it
I
is.
refuse
It
to be a
shows-
millionaire for my
Right.
strict adherence to the DAP.
I refuse to take advantage of indigenous peoples in another country to hawk my wares.
Property is theft. Okay. I mean, this is what we know. This rent, property,
Yeah,
white privilege.
Bill's not
is
going to be a
theft.
landlord because rent is theft.
Phil, did you all of a sudden move to what is it? Not Arizona. Where's Vegas, Nevada? You all of a sudden moved to
Yeah.
Nevada and joined the Nevada LP.
Oh yeah. Oh god, the Nevada LP. Oh, so let's transition this because we got some stories. So
Nevada.
So what everybody's fucking talking about is the LP Kentucky. The LP Kentucky this week, they did the no. You're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to make comparisons to the Holocaust, and they put out a tweet. So let me read this tweet, if in case you guys live under a rock in a cave on Mars with your eyes closed and your fingers in your ear. That's a Simpsons quote. And so they put out a statement. This was March 29th. It said, "Are the vaccine passports going to be yellow, shaped like a star, and sewn on our clothes?" Which is a terribly constructed tweet because it should be the opposite. It should be people who don't have the vaccine passport. So that's my biggest like autistic thing I get so angry about.
Yeah,
I
it
get
doesn't
really
really
angry
make
about that.
sense.
Because it's supposed to be the other way, and they fucked up the phrase, so that kind of pissed me off to be honest. So I would never put this tweet out, but so of course the natural reeing happened with it. We had everyone from Nicholas Sarwark to Seth Rogen come out and trash it and say that it was not only was it bad messaging, it was anti-Semitic. It's you don't compare things to the Holocaust. It's terrible messaging. But yet, if you guys look at this, you see it on the screen here. Let me bring this back up so I can see it a little
It
bit
didn't
more.
get ratioed though.
Well, I
Well-
think the buried lead here is there's a story here. The buried lead is there is an LP of Kentucky. Like, wow, like this is the first I've ever heard from them. So I guess they're breaking out, and here they are.
Yeah. Oh, they're getting in big trouble with the Liberty Republicans in that state. There's the guy TJ Roberts. He's in the Liberty Republican movement, but he's also kind of like an ANCAP. And so he's so pissed off at the LP Kentucky because they took votes away from. I don't know. It's just like it's a whole thing. But yeah, no, LP Kentucky's been on the map for a while. They've been on the map for a while.
Wait, there's an ANCAP in the Republican Party in Kentucky.
He is, yeah, TJ. He's a cool guy, but he gets in a lot of fights with the Mises Caucus and the LP Kentucky all the time because they're constantly interfering with the rightful votes because he's trying to get the Republican Party up. But anyway, so that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so of course they posted this and it just got crushed from a lot of people. But the thing is, if you look at it, how many likes does that have on it? It's like 15,000 likes. How many retweets? And it's got 7,000
likes. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
9,000 comments.
And the comment, and so the tweet that they had before that had like 17 likes.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
So this is called monetize your haters, right? Monetize the haters.
Pretty much. And so people said it was bad messaging, and people freaked out and blah blah. And yeah, I don't think I would probably make it because I'm so tired of the whole this is comparing things to the Holocaust and Hitler. It's just very tired. But
we have so much fascism on a daily basis. It just gets boring to call everything fascism because there's just too much fascism. So
I know.
You better just shut up about it for good messaging. I mean, the important thing to these, I mean, first of all, we're constantly told you have to remember the Holocaust. You will never forget. Never again. Never forget. But do not ever mention any of the 100 steps that led up to that. Like, do not for a second understand like how you got there, because then we're going to get mad. I don't understand. Like, if you don't want it to happen again, you got to be able to understand it at each stage and all the little things, the disarmament, the racial scapegoating, the propaganda. It's like,
well, exactly, James, and this all ties in really well to the follow-up, which is Nick Sarwark kind of talks some Kentucky rabbi into going and having a debate, I guess, with Dave Smith, because that's what people do now in the LP is they just debate Dave Smith. That's like he goes in as the guy who's taking the punches for the Mises Caucus, and so he goes into this thing with this rabbi, and it's hilarious because
just be glad it's not Mike Heiss.
I'll tell you this right now, like for all the crap that kid gets, I have very little respect for many people like I have for Mike Heiss, because dude will swing. He despite dude, it's been what 4 years that this thing's been around, and it's been this for 4 years, and he keeps swinging.
He does get a lot of abuse, and
he's got balls of steel. Whether or not you agree with the guy,
I'm happy to jump on board. Yeah, Mike knows I like him.
But yeah, so Dave goes in and he does this whole debate, and frankly, like basically everything that you bring up is stuff that came up in it, and this guy's making concessions, like talking about, oh, it's okay to talk about Stalin killing people and okay to talk about Mao killing people, but we can't talk about Hitler killing people because the Jews have the sole arbitrary right to talk about what becomes anti-Semitism and what's out of bounds, and they, as the Jewish people, have had their meetings, and the rabbinical structures decided that you can't talk about the Holocaust that way because that's anti-Semitic. Despite the fact that, well, technically they're remembering it as the most awful thing that's ever happened, and they're concerned that we might go down that path again. So it's not minimizing it. Technically, you're minimizing it. Like, is the path that Dave Smith takes us to down.
Yeah. Well, that's a good approach. And I think, first of all, nobody has a right to speak on behalf of, like all the Jews, I mean, maybe Jared,
well,
yeah.
Well, just say, Jared, technically in that.
And I'll tell you what I find
religion,
is highly offensive. Just kidding.
I mean, isn't that the whole point?
There's no like
pope.
Do the Jews have a pope, Jared? How do they handle that? Like,
no, we don't, man. We're decentralized.
Well, but it's still
we're the original decentralized. We're the original DAO. Okay.
It's how the rabbis interpret the book is how it all works, as far as I know.
Didn't they have like 40 years of van life and
van life,
like
wandering in the desert by the river?
Yeah, like weren't they wandering in the desert like it's freaking hippies?
Yeah, man.
Making golden fucking calves and shit. And
I don't know. I mean, look, if the analogy works and it's effective, then by all means,
Well,
like clearly it's working to some degree. So, anything is on the table in my eyes as far as like drawing analogies or comparisons or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter if it's.
Well, I don't feel like we need to go that far back in history to find good examples. I mean, you could have just looked at China that actively has a social credit system right now. It's a much better analogy, but
yeah, well, and like Phil pointed out, this one doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
They tried. We kind of knew where they were going with it, and I think that's still what pissed people off.
So the best part about this is the self-own that is. So Sarwark goes and he kind of sicked this rabbi on Dave Smith. And then when they're going through it, like Dave has this guy go through Nick's tweets back when, he was talking, the kids in cages at the borders is like the Nazis and Hitler's and Nazis. And the rabbi, for whatever you may say about it, was actually very principled, and he thinks that's just as bullshit as any, saying that this is. So he at least applies his own standard across the board and thinks it was.
Well, yeah, was Seth Rogen commenting on AOC's thing?
Oh, no,
when
he's
she was
posted-
comparing them.
He retweeted all of her shit, and he said that's hypocritical bullshit too. So like, at least he was consistent. That's something.
Every liberal calling fucking Trump Hitler for 4 years. I mean, that's okay?
Yeah, this one woman, she came at Dave because Dave Smith took this up and was like, no, this is good. Like, we need to be talking about this. Like, look at the attention it's getting. Like, LP National's slow on this. Like, they should be coming out against. And then like Joe Bishop Henchman put out a thing saying it was like reprehensible to say this and it was bad messaging, even though we don't like pub or government enforced, vaccine passports. But
didn't they file a resolution officially now?
Yeah, so Dave took this up like as a big thing, was calling out people, and so then this one woman started. I forget, she's a blue check mark. I don't know who the fuck she is, but she starts trying to dunk on Dave and just like saying like, "Oh my God, it's so awful. You shouldn't compare things to the Holocaust." And then people started sending in retweets or tweets from her where she had called everything Trump did was like comparing it to Hitler, and she said like, "Oh, well, that was different." Like, what the fuck?
It's different when I agree with it.
I think the problem is we need a better vocabulary. We don't have enough variation for the horrible tyrants that like infect our lives. Like the Eskimos, they say the Eskimos have like 50 words for snow, right? Like we need more words for genocidal, mass murderer, like super fascist. Like you can't keep going to Hitler. It's just not going well, right?
How about Obama? Work. He was an Obama. Does that work? You said mass murderer. It's the first thing.
It works for me. I don't, start. And I think you'd have to like use it in a certain way, like a bomb, like when you're like somebody who bombs wedding parties, that kind of a man.
Let's get real creative with it. How about Trumpbama? Trumpbama.
Oh, there's a great Facebook page. It's like it started during like the Obama era. It was called like George W. Obama, and then as more presidents come along, he just adds to the name. So now it's like George W. Trumpbama or something like that.
Please put that in the notes because I want to find my way there.
And he's got amazing. And the photo is like a composite of all their faces like together. It's fucking. I'll send it to you. It's great.
So, but I think the final touch in this story is the best. So why don't you tell us about it, Otto? The final nail in the coffin,
the closer,
the final solution.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to go that way?
Oh
wow!
I don't know. Actually, I don't know what this final solution you speak of is.
Oh,
Nick.
So
no, you tell it. Do tell.
So I'm looking through my Instagram today, and Philosopher shares a Tom Woods tweet. And it is an actual like giant rally in Israel.
With
giant 4-foot by 20-foot banners where they have the passport book equals Star of David equals, and it has like a picture of an arm with a tattoo on it
with numbers.
Yeah, like with obviously the tattoos that we know we're talking about. And I think Tom Woods' quote to the whole thing was, I guess nobody told them, because apparently, this rabbi here in the United States, they've decided what's anti-Semitic and not anti-Semitic. However, the state of Israel apparently disagrees with them, and apparently those people tend to think that this is apparently,
because they're calling it a green. I think it's called like a green passport over there, and essentially, it's like you said, if you get the vaccine, you're allowed to travel. And then it's so ironic. The most ironic thing I've ever seen in my entire life was a demonstration with them holding up a sign that said apartheid.
Yeah, it's right next. It's right next to the banner I just said. That has apartheid next. Like,
yes.
Well, we know that the Jews know something about apartheid, right?
So wait, what account was saying this?
Tom Woods is the one that it was shared by Philosopher.
Yeah,
I mean, who knows where it even started?
Everyone's
Philosopher.
No. I mean,
everyone is sharing this picture. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, those aren't really Jewish people. Those are more like, secular, non-religious, Jewish people.
They live in a Jewish state. I'm sorry.
I know they live in a Jewish ethno state. Like, what the fuck? They're pissed off too.
They just don't have the clout of our better podcasters in North
But yeah, to me, it was just the most hilarious hypocrisy that this American rabbi's deciding what is, anti-Semitism and what's not. And then the exact same thing he's trying to dunk on and say was anti-Semitic. The Jewish people over in fucking Israel do the same goddamn thing. It's like, oh, well, they don't seem to think this is anti-Semitic. It seems to be their message.
Yeah, you can't make this shit up. Like, you just can't make it up. And the fact that it was for days, because this has been going on for days, and it's been like the subject. I'm sure pretty much everyone's sick of hearing.
Well, I mean, like you said before, it's like you can't have one person represent an entire religion / like ethnicity if you want to grant them that. That's this rabbi's opinion, but this rabbi's not the authority on all things offensive to everybody.
But he's perfect to give them give the offended crowd something to run with,
Well, yeah, I mean, and this is what Sarwark knows because he's a fucking lawyer. So you're gonna find your best witness that you can get up there to tout your bullshit and make your case, right?
That's just his CIA training coming through.
Exactly. Why are we still talking about fucking Sarwark? Like, why is he still?
Because he's really good at interjecting himself into it. He's really good at it.
I think Otto brought him up.
Well, he brought himself up by making all of this happen. He's the guy that arranged this rabbi to talk to Dave Smith in the first place.
Okay, that's true.
He just keeps himself in everything. He refuses to go away.
Maybe Dave Smith should just stop entertaining it and just be like, no. Didn't he say that he was going to stop? Didn't Dave?
He did, and then he was just like, but how many times? It's a weird thing where. You're just trying. Okay, he's like, okay, I'm done. I'm not saying anything. But these people keep on hounding. They keep on saying, throwing out these accusations.
What is he really gaining, though? I mean,
well, in this instance, 15,000 tweets. Like in this case, it's probably they got libertarianism trending on Twitter.
Yeah, libertarianism was trending on Twitter
from this. Yeah, but I'm just saying Dave Smith though. I'm saying what does Dave Smith have to gain from debating people? Like, look,
here we are talking about Dave Smith too.
That's Otto's fault.
I'm just I brought up this is the topic. What's been going on? If it wasn't for Dave picking
that's what's in it for Dave. He gets notoriety too. As one of the people doing the smackdowns. I'm sure he's enjoying it. He's well trained for it.
Exactly.
It's like okay, you need to smack somebody.
I guess I'm just injecting my personal preference because I just fucking hate listening to debates and shit.
Oh, dude, I thought it was
just annoying as hell.
Yeah,
it wasn't much of a debate, and honestly, because he was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to. He's like, I'm not, because Dave's not really that much Jewish anymore. I mean, I feel like Robbie, his co-host, is more Jewish now than he is when it comes to practicing and everything else that. So he was like, all right, let me speak to a critic who's critical of what I said, and I'm just gonna talk to him. And they had a conversation about it, and we're everyone's trying to claim victory over it, but it was just like what Nick was saying. He kind of co-signed. He's like, oh yeah, well. Nick and all these people shouldn't be comparing stuff to the Holocaust either. That was bad too. This is can we stop doing that? And even though I disagreed with this premise, he was very consistent in his point, which you can appreciate.
Let's give them some other genocides to go to next time.
But it's funny because
why not Holodomor?
Right. So people were posting stuff like that too. A lot of people were challenging the LP Kentucky, saying, well, as I know, LP Louisiana is run by this dude who kind of sucks, and he's very very leftist. If you I can
in tell. Louisiana,
Louisiana, he runs that, and so he put out a thing talking about it now only if the government makes us, but all businesses can decide if we don't have a vaccine that they don't have to let us in because we're free market people, blah blah blah, just bullshit. And so he put out the stupid statement. And people were like, oh my God, patting themselves on the back and just be see, this is what good messaging is. This is good, appropriate messaging. And it got 10 likes. That's not good messaging.
I'm going to twist the needle here and say, I actually agree with the Louisiana people. I think they do have the right. And I think all of you need to get off your fucking asses and realize that we need to separate. They're telling you we need to separate, and they want to separate, and we all need to give it to them. We need to found our own companies. We need to start doing the actual fucking legwork of starting our own civilization. And otherwise, you're going to be second-class citizens.
But you can't. You can't.
Phil, what do you think about this?
I think it's bullshit.
What do you think about this from Sam? Nick Sarwark has done more for the Mises Caucus than almost any other human being.
I think Michael Heiss would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, no, he's straight. I mean, he's the Mises Caucus guy. It's like I know Sam.
Yeah.
And it's true. But I mean, I was just listening back to. I went back and I listened to the Mises when we first had Michael Heiss on back in like 2018. We had him back on, and when he first came to Anarchy Basement, and I was listening to it because I was like, I'm trying to like regain my memory like of how things went and came about. And Mike said it that day. He's like, we started this because we didn't want Bill Weld to represent the party in 2020. We wanted to get rid of people like that. And so the day he put up the Facebook group was the same day Nick. So it was like before. It was like a few hours before Nick Sarwark sent out that thing to Tom Wood saying, you need to sign this saying you're not a fascist and you don't agree with fascism.
Right.
And so it had nothing to do with Charlottesville because people are saying, oh, the Mises Caucus was started because of Charlottesville. Like it had nothing to do with that. Like Mike even said, he's like, my main thing was to make sure.
Yeah, I remember his first post was Jews will not replace us. That's what I know.
Yeah, apparently. And he says it. He's like, we just don't want Bill Weld. And this was back in 2018. He's saying this like, and I remember it too because I was a part of it from like the first time it came around. I was a part of this Mises Caucus thing, like the group, the Facebook group. I started adding people like who I knew were like-minded with involved with the caucus and stuff like that.
I remember turning all of the people that Otto added and saying, "No, we don't want these people in here."
Thank you.
So it's my favorite part as a mod. Like, God, do I have to accept any of these people? They're all asshats.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm not in it.
Do we really need another conversation about borders and abortion?
Well, that's another thing too. Is people just
open abortion? That's what I say.
Open abortion. That's the podcast title right there. Open abortion. But like, and that's another thing. People are like, oh my God, it's just a bunch of right wing closed border. I'm like, I'm not closed border. I'm open border. Like we back our candidate that we backed for president was the most open border, presidential nominee we had since. Yeah, is the most open border nominee that I think was out since Harry Brown. Like he was like straight up. It's the only moral thing to do as a Christian is to open up the borders. That's how I am too. Michael Heiss is like, oh, well, I'm a private borders guys. Like
he made a Christian argument about it.
Yeah, he said it was. Yeah, Jacob Hornberg. He told it on our podcast. He came on and explained it.
I didn't remember the Christian part.
Yeah, he said it's the most Christian thing to be is open borders.
It's a little cringe.
It's the only principled thing.
How it's cringed. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, just make the argument that people should be able to move freely. Not like Jesus said so.
No, he's not saying Jesus. He's just like, it's a Christian thing. It's like on multiple levels. Like, and I agreed with him. I'm like, yes, like this is kind of how I feel about this issue. Like open borders will come like, and most people, and it's like, within the caucus and without of the caucus, like it's still a divided issue inside the libertarian movement. But I'm like, sorry, but like most of these people are open border and cats. And Mike Heiss is like, well, I'm a private borders. Like it should be the private property owners along this border, like where nations don't exist anymore. There is no, like there is no nation. There is no government line. There's just only private property lines. Which is essentially open border. Like,
yeah, some people say that though, but then they'll say, well, until we have that, we're going to need the Border Patrol to protect our collective property of the United States from those invaders, right? Like there is a jump there. Like you get those people.
You're right. You're right. No, there are.
However,
ideally it would be private. So I'm really a libertarian, but since we don't have private, I'm going to need a Border Patrol.
But since they stole my stuff and they're like allowing people on the property without my permission,
because they're probably going to vote Democrat. So therefore we're going to need to put children in cages or something. I don't know. Like
there are people that are like that, but there's also people outside the Mises Caucus who hate the Mises Caucus who say the same thing. Like, and they're in the libertarian movement. So I find it so like we just get pinned with that. It's the same. You post it in any group, post it in any libertarian candidate group, libertarian, fucking anything, post it anywhere, and you'll get the same type of responses. It's kind of like right down the middle. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, this issue is a liberty movement thing. It's not just like abortion. Same thing with abortion. You'll find it inside the Mises Caucus and outside.
You'll find it. You'll find every issue, man. You'll find people that think we should be registering our cars.
Hey guys, I think I can actually get
There's
James.
People like government schools. They want to fix them.
I think I can get James on Team Mises Caucus though.
Yes,
I think I can.
I don't know, dude.
So
I already am on Team Mises Caucus. What are you talking about?
Here's the thing with the Mises Caucus.
He was at the rally last night.
They're going to destroy the Libertarian Party.
Didn't you see me? I had my tiki torch.
Yeah.
Jared will not replace me. Jared will not replace me.
Wait, technically, are
That
you
should be
the
the podcast
replacement?
title. That should be the podcast title. Jared should not replace. Jared cannot replace me.
I think we need a couple Jareds anyway. So
Only a few. We got to keep an eye on those Jareds.
But yeah, for all of my ANCAP friends, I keep telling them, look, the Mises Caucus is going to destroy the Libertarian Party. Get on board with it. Like, it'll happen faster that way.
Well, I mean, I think it's okay to try to shake up the LP and to try to steer it back in a libertarian direction. Because obviously, like the past 10 years was like, what the hell? You know, between Gary Johnson and Bob Barr and Bill Weld and Judge Gray. I mean, what a parade of losers. It's like, there's no point in having a party that's going to put those guys out there. So,
well, the party's only value is that frankly, it has ballot access, so it has visibility. It has visibility. That is its
I don't even think that's worth what everybody thinks it's worth.
Well, that may well be, but the thing is they won't have ballot access after the Mises Caucus takes through because all of the people that make that possible, frankly, are like the former Democrats and former Republicans that are happy to play the political game. They're the foot soldiers.
Let it go. You know what?
I don't know.
How many millions of dollars does the LP spend? Now, people donate specifically to this. So I'm not saying people don't want their money spent on this. They wouldn't spend all this money if people didn't want it there. And it's not my business to tell people how they should spend their money. But it is a significant amount of money. We're talking millions and millions of dollars. I mean, I've seen what was spent in Pennsylvania is just insane. And then but somebody needs to do a cost benefit analysis and say, look, every election we're going to spend $200,000, $300,000, $500,000. I don't know how much they're spending, and or to say like, look, why don't we're going to risk not being on the ballot, and we're just going to sue them every year, and we're going to just fight them in the streets, and we're going to call. Like we're not gonna pay the ransom every time. It's just paying the capital. It's like because as soon as they can just keep up in the ransom. You get a little too uppity, they just crank it up.
So what I want to see
as long as you keep playing and you keep going after their bait, you're never going to advance the ball. In my opinion. Which is
why I love the Mises takeover because they are going to tear the whole thing down in a glorious.
But I'm just saying a lack of ballot access. Might not be the worst thing. You're not gonna convince people that the election system's a total fraud, like while you spend all your energy just to participate in it.
Yeah,
but that's not the point. The Libertarian Party wasn't designed to do that either. It was designed to play in it. So it's it is what it is.
You get certain access. You get certain access to other things that aren't the ballot when you're a political party, right? I mean, you can get access to certain events, certain
television,
newspapers,
radio,
all that kind of stuff. So if you can get
debates,
right, exactly. So if you can get access to all that, I mean, maybe not like the national debate, but yeah.
Well, you get access to all that stuff where they're gonna twist everything you say and make you look like shit, anyways. But there's that.
It's the age of the internet, though. If you can. It's easier to circumvent that shit.
Well, what's really important?
What if Vermin Supreme had been the LP candidate? And I know I always ask that question, and just can you imagine how 2020 would have gone with Vermin Supreme had been the LP candidate?
Would have been amazing. I would have loved every minute of it.
I mean, that you're never going to have a chance like that. The stars will never align to this like absurd reality and a weird boot on his head hero that arrives just at the right moment. Like
I hope for like a Maj Touré presidency, or just some angry black dude out of Philly talking shit on everybody around there who he can come out and say, look at all these fucking old white people. Look at them. That's what I want to see.
Well, you know what? I thought like the kind of brash, like Trump language would never be like seen in a president, but that was my mistake. So anything.
I really do like what Jeff Dice said about Trump. He's like, people keep talking about a third party candidate can't win. Like Donald Trump was a third party candidate. He beat the Bushes and the Clintons and became president. Like he was essentially a third party candidate just running in the Republican Party.
Right. You can also go to Epstein's Island as a private person. right? Like if you're rich enough.
Dude, I almost spit beer out of my nose. I'm so glad I didn't take that sip.
It's very open borders over there if you have enough money.
No, it's closed borders. It is very closed borders. They are border.
I said if you have enough money, Phil.
Well, then anything's mostly open.
If you have the right passport, the Epstein passport. That's the pedo passport. Oh, that's another good title.
Yeah.
Pedo passport.
Yeah.
Jared won't replace my pedo passport.
We might get banned off the internet if I do that,
though. Right. Oh God. But fuck, like this is what we need to have someone up there fucking throwing fire at all times. Just be the Wendy's Twitter.
And Dylon.
Be the Wendy's Twitter. Like that's what LP should be.
Yeah, you gotta be like and
do it.
Make jokes about Kentucky LP. Like I said at the beginning, it's like the buried lead is there they are. Like now they're like, hello, they exist, right? Like they got noticed somehow, right? Mm-hmm. So why not?
Yep. You got and this is one of the times where it's like most of the feedback was positive. But and people like to pretend that it wasn't. It was pretty because you gotta message out to people because people are over this fourth wave of COVID that's allegedly coming. Like, why is there a fourth wave if they told us the waves would stop coming if we got fucking vaccinated? Like, it makes no sense. And they keep on pushing this. Like, dude, the goalposts have been like moved so far. They're on the other side of the field. Like, it is ridiculous.
No, the goalposts are up your ass.
That's I know.
Right now. It's right up
with
there.
The COVID,
literally
right next to the COVID swab.
What was that video? There was a video of a woman, like medical-ish, experty person on TV talking about how she was really concerned because the cases are dropping off and she hasn't finished selling vaccines. Basically,
Jared, can you play that video? Oh my God,
she was like really upset that like they're like, oh no. Like the cases are dropping and we're not fully vaccinated. It's too soon. Like, oh no, like
she literally said like we're dangling a carrot in front of people to get them to get
how
vaccinated.
are we going to make them get the vaccine?
That's what she said.
If they're not scared.
That's what she said. She was like, yeah, like their government's opening up. We have to dangle their freedoms. Like we have to give them freedoms first so they get this COVID vaccine before the government just opens it up before we can.
She completely blurted out. Like, I love it when they blurt out their agenda. Like, just so we don't have to act like it's a conspiracy. They just tell it.
It's so cringy. Fuck, I forget who she is and but I heard it. I was like, oh my God. Like she's saying everything that. And it was like, what was it? Cuomo was on there with her. Like,
just hand that video to all your constitutionalist friends.
No, that was Fredo. Fredo was the one talking to her.
Fredo Coleon.
God, it's so cringy, man. And like, people are out there are fucking done with this shit. People, even the people that are wearing like 2 masks, they're over it too. They're over it. They're done. Like they're like, we have seen, and that's what really is fueling.
They still want us dead though.
Yeah, this is what's going to fuel their vaccine passports because people are going to say, well, I have my vaccine. I shouldn't have to wear this mask. I'm over the mask. I'm over social distancing. I'm over not seeing people. I'm over being scared. And I shouldn't have to be punished because these selfish assholes won't get the vaccine. So we need to have some way to prove that we have the vaccine and they can be punished wearing masks and being second-class citizens.
I don't think they're going to be have that rigid of a backbone. They're already been so complacent. And I've already been told.
I mean, I already see those people.
By like the obedient people, they've already been conditioned to say, no, just because you got the vaccine, you still have to wear the mask. And they're all ready to explain it. Like my mom has had the vaccine, right? And we were in some restaurant or something, and there was going to be like 6 feet where she had to go from here to the table, or like, and somebody somebody acted like she should be having a mask, like what's happening here? Like who? She's been vaccinated.
James, I've got to call you out on a few things. First off, you're using the inappropriate language.
What was my language?
Okay, here's the thing. A vaccine prevents you from spreading a disease. There is no science saying that actually happens with this. All it does is lessen.
But I meant to say experimental injection.
That's right.
Experimental
it does lessen the likelihood that you'll spread it as well. It doesn't completely. No, it's true.
It hasn't been proven at all.
It has. Well, I mean, there's been studies, but yeah, there could be more studies. But
In fact, if I remember correctly, the likelihood of spreading COVID was less without the vaccine than with the vaccine. We won't get into those numbers, but whatever.
No, we already went over that.
Oh, really? I don't recall that episode. Who
yeah, we had the same conversation then. It's 90% on top of the 98 point whatever that number keeps fluctuating, right?
Steve, I don't see anybody out there saying, "Oh, if you've had the vaccine, you can come into the bar," anything like that, or we can seat you at the table if you've had a vaccine.
Oh no.
It's mandatory mask. If they're in mask mode, nobody cares about a vaccine. So
no masks are sticking around, but you're going places in New York State. I believe Madison Square Garden, you need to have the app to get into, but they are opening up, and you're going to allow people back.
And San Francisco Giants, their stadium, you have to have proof that you're vaccinated, and it's an app that you can download.
But anyways, my point was:
are they going to do it? Are people doing it?
Yeah, people are showing up in the stadium. Dude, I'm telling you. And they want to give people just an inch of freedom, so therefore they can demonize the people who don't want the vaccine. Or who aren't going to take the vaccine, so therefore they can mandate this whole vaccine passport. Like, we're going to give.
Hold on. What is the vaccine passport really? What is the actual proposal for that?
Okay, so there's only one that's actually in place in the United States, and it is in New York State. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it is strictly that there's certain places you won't be allowed into. Those are the places that sign on to use it. The governor has said
they
basically
voluntarily decide to
and the governor has
totally agreed.
And the governor has said basically every business in New York State will voluntarily do this.
So he has mandated that into law, or he?
Well, no, he didn't mandate it.
Volunteering.
Yes, they will be volunteering to. This is a good way of putting it. As far as I know, no place else in the U.S.
He'll be blackmailing them, essentially, is what you're saying.
Probably.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that this all became a hubbub is because it does exist in New York State, and Biden specifically said that he's working to help make sure that it can kind of go national, and they're going to be having a sort of congruent system between all of the voluntary places to sign on. In other words, they want everybody to have the same system and kind of work together and have like a centralized solution. So the idea is that, we're not in charge of it, but we need to make sure that everything works together nice and easily for consumers. We don't want to have a bad product of taking all the rights away. So it's almost like a little bit of a jumping gun.
I guess let's just get right to the answer part of this. And
I actually
hold on. I'm still on the part of what is it going to be. So yeah, it sounds like
it's a mobile app.
They might use this New York thing as a model.
How does the mobile app know that you've been vaccinated?
I'm assuming medical records. It attached to your medical records. If you didn't,
but isn't that a HIPAA violation?
No, HIPAA doesn't exist anymore.
So the doctor's office is going to do something, or at the vaccine station is going to put a record in. Like, I'm just wondering physically what's happening.
I'm imagining wherever you get your vaccine, or whoever proves that you have the antibodies will have added to your record, and then it will be cross-referenced. And that's part of the other thing, is that they need to make sure that however it functions, it can read the appropriate records properly, because it is done differently in different states.
So therefore, we're going to need everyone's medical record for all time, forever, everybody, forever.
But just be clear, like, that became the norm when the minute COVID happened, because everyone immediately needed to prove whether or not, just to go to work and do basic things, you needed to be able to prove whether you had it. That immediately breaks HIPAA right there. No longer exists. You have no right to keep anything medical to yourself. So you can sit there and hide behind HIPAA if you want to. It doesn't exist.
Good luck.
Not real anymore.
It was never there to be of any use to you anyway.
Laws tend to not be there for people who want to use them as protection.
Yep. I mean, and that's the way it boils down to. There's just not going to let people get away with not getting the vaccine, not being compliant. This is the future. This is ultimately the Chinese credit score. This is the social credit score.
That's part of it.
I mean, this is what we're looking at, because the people in our so-called leaders in this country, they look at that and they're like, good, full compliance. People, we can herd people to get people and do the right thing. It's like that progressive. It's like that fucking early 20th century progressive style mentality of just like, We just need to make people do the right thing, and we need to push them that way. And
man.
And it's about control. No,
you're still thinking of us as people. No, that's out the window.
You're livestock to experiment.
Haven't you ever tagged deer? This is tagging deer. You put the fucking little little electronic device on them and watch where they go. This is that.
But it's just they look at us and they're like, no, we need to make sure that you can't access this certain website. You can't go here.
Well, look, just because you're a free range chicken, doesn't mean you just get to go anywhere you want.
Yeah, you're pretending you still have humanity, bro.
But no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just trying to I'm going
through the logic. Just be glad they let you dig in the dirt and eat an occasional worm. Okay, you're a free range chicken. That's your fate.
Why is it so depressing whenever Nick comes on here?
No, I'm having a feeling. I have a feeling this thing's going to be really easy to fake. And in fact, I'll bet you it's so easy to fake that all you need is like a screenshot of somebody's QR code or a green light or something.
I think you can just
fake it.
I think you'll have
create a QR code generator that fakes it. You know,
if there is a national thing, if that even happens. I don't see somewhere like Florida or even Texas enforcing this thing because they've already
they already said they won't.
They've already said they won't. They already stuck their finger up and measured their own, the wind in their own fucking area, and they're like, well, if we do this ain't going to be good. It's not going to work out for us. So we're going to resist.
You mean the wind in their area? You mean coming out of their own ass?
Well, there's that. But I
just feel like wherever they've been the dumbest, they have to now be double dumb. It's like because
that's the places where they've been less.
They got to double
dumb,
down.
Right? Those are the places that have been less restrictive, right?
No, I'm just thinking
but yeah, New York is going to be a hellhole if it's not. It already is, right? But Michigan, that's going to be full bore.
Here we go. In our state here, Maryland, it's going to happen here. I'm telling you, there's just no way getting around this. There's no political will. They can do whatever they want. There's no rule of law. It doesn't exist. This is straight up. They do whatever they feel like they can get away with, and they're going to get away with this. And they'll just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. There'll be a few places that are refuge. There'll be a few, like you said, Florida will be going, Texas maybe, but they're going to eventually turn that state blue. They'll get whoever's in charge out. They'll put in one of their little meat puppets, and they'll go along and mandate everything, and they'll get rid of all the protections that they had before. So they can have people moving to Florida now. That's why don't move to Florida. 5 years, Florida will be what we're experiencing now. It's like I look at China, Canada looks at China, and it's just the marching orders just keep coming down. Eventually,
the Chinese are running everything.
Huh?
You're saying the Chinese are running the show?
Well, I feel like China got rid of communism, and now they're just complete fascist authoritarians. And so people are looking at that. The fascist authoritarians in the United States are looking like, that's really good. They get to, wow, like they can lock people in buildings and they can prevent people from going to certain websites and traveling. Like maybe we need to do that here. They already took, that's why they've already taken control over all the highways and the air, the highways, the airways, everything's all completely federally regulated. So now that they have all this laid out, they already took control over it. Now they can just stop you at the easy pass. You have this easy pass.
That's one way to look at it. The other way is to look at it like, are they really that capable of doing that? Are they really that intelligent and coordinated enough?
Yes. I don't think
they are, man.
Well,
we just had what's his name? We just had your friend what's it, Paul? Was that the guy we had on last time talking about how incompetent the whole military is?
Scott, yeah.
Because
those are just jobs programs, man. That's not the beast. The beast is this. Honestly, it's the people in the CIA, in CIA. They love the facade of the stupid, inept government, like the post office and Social Security and all the things that people go, wow, government's too stupid to pull anything off. They're just so dumb. No, they're not. They're very benevolent and they're very smart. And the people in charge, they can play us.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. I think government.
Look, they're good at doing like of moving the money around. They're good at like, okay, how do we get the money into the defense contractors? Okay, It's not even that hard to do that shit.
Who do we have to kill? Who do we have to blackmail? Who do we have to bomb? Who do we have
more
to
sophisticated?
What's the new false flag narrative this week? Like, is it going to be drugs for weapons, or weapons for drugs, or kids for cash, or kids for clunkers, or what are we going with this time, boys?
There is no marching orders. There's no straight order that comes straight from one person that goes down to all the people, all the way down to like
cigarette smoking man,
the TSA. It is spread around.
Man.
The memos go out where it takes one person to say this, and then people look at their colleagues. They go, "Oh, that's the marching orders. That's where marching orders come from." Okay, so we should just do that. And it's like this mentality where they try to one up each other.
We should smuggle cocaine in
very loose.
Florida.
I think it gets beamed from the Jew satellites.
It's probably.
I think that's
dude.
where
that's
all the
moon is.
from.
That's what the moon is. It's a one big Jew satellite. I'm trying to tell you guys.
Space lasers.
Jesus.
Well,
Yeah,
yes.
it does laser, but it's not lasering like the forest. It's lasering like radio transmissions into people's brains. That's what's happening.
That's how the
5G,
transforming
bro.
lizard people get down to Earth.
Yeah,
They hide in the synagogues
they're hiding in the ark
until their human flesh can molt on. Like they got to molt out of their alien and assume.
You think that might be what
form.
Biden's doing? Is just sniffing the essence,
Oh,
so that he
yeah.
can like grow
Dude,
his.
What if
human
you could snort adrenochrome? Maybe he figured out a way to snort adrenochrome through the
Right.
skin, and that's what he's doing.
There's adrenochrome like discharge, that very slight discharge that he can just sniff off.
like, oh fuck yeah, it comes out of your arteries and shit, and he can just
Yeah, it comes out of your pores.
It's like a
straight
it's
out.
like a aromatherapy for him, basically. Like
if that's the case, guys, it's not working.
essential kid oils.
Oh man,
It's really
another
not
podcast
working.
title.
that is another title that would also probably get us banned.
Oh man, well, let's just take this over to the after hours. We've been doing this for too long. This went by real fast. That's when you know you have a good. This is a good one. This is a good one. All the other ones suck, but this was good.
Yeah, if you're gonna listen to any podcast, listen to this one because you're already listening to it.
Yes.
You basically already did it. So
Yeah.
You've already done it, so make sure
You did it.
You were
Gold
proud of
stars for
yourself.
all of you.
Give
All
yourself a
three of
pat
you.
on the
not that
back.
kind of a gold star. Yeah.
And on that note, Phil.
All right. Well, stop dead naming me. So we really appreciate you guys checking out the podcast. Please go to our Patreon. We're going to do an after hours podcast right after this. We're going to talk about more Jewish conspiracies. Jared's going to let us in on some of the really good details in the after
I usually
hours.
tell one conspiracy every time that I can reveal without getting excommunicated.
The goys need to hear this. So if you want to listen in and hear these Jewish conspiracies, please sign up for our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Or you can go to prlfans.com where you find other ways to donate to the show. We would much appreciate your help keeping all of our lights on in Anarchy Basement. Definitely go buy our t-shirts. We have t-shirts for sale over at libertariancountry.com. Use the code PRL or PRL Podcast. Get yourself a 10% discount.
And on that note, we are going to be having a PRL collection on there soon as we get together some designs, which we've got in the works.
Yeah, I got some designs. I'm going to keep them under wraps right now, but I got some pretty good ones, I think.
Yeah,
to be more inclusive, that's inclusivity is important to me.
I just had an idea. Like, great
do
t-shirt
tell.
design. Okay, it's just nude Phil with a PBR can where his piece should be.
Oh man, that sounds awesome.
How is it going to hide my dick?
I didn't say it had to be an appropriately sized can. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
actually a
extra large
pint.
one.
It's actually just a pint.
Or maybe get one of those like old keg shaped ones that like hold about like 100 beers.
All right, well, I'll throw that in the mix. All right, well, I'll throw that in the into the old idea well. But anyway, that'll be memory hold. Okay, we're gonna put that in the memory hole. Anyway, so go and spend $50 there. Go ahead, buy all sorts of shit. They're always coming out with new t-shirts. It's really fucking cool. So please buy those t-shirts. And if you spend $50 or more, use the code PRL2. Get yourself a 20% discount. Nick, tell the people where they can find you.
You can head to nickpicone.com and listen to my podcasting and just generally being a crazy person.
Do it. It's awesome. I love this guy so much. James, are you on Twitter at all? Are you on Twitter? You're muted. He's just shaking his head. All right, never.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, you're muted. You're mute. You're on mute. No one can hear you.
No, I'm not on Twitter. Okay. Sorry, I got
all right.
Too much of a life.
As we all have our Twitter handles up.
I barely go on mine.
Screw you, Twitter. I'm not going to play that game. That's centralized propaganda crap.
Oh man! All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on. Tonight was always brought to, as every night is brought to you by Hidden in Plain Sight by Moral Bob. And until next time, live free
or die.